Okay, this is what they need to do to really piss off Games Workshop. Flip the fucking tank over, and then show that it's not hollow inside. If this thing comes with a base, not like the Rogodon tank, which has like a hollow like piece of shit like shell. Like if they flip this around and show that it's got like an actual base underneath, like the whole thing is like covered and shit. It'll be the meanest mog, I tell you. It'll be like, hey, Games Workshop, we don't cheap out on our models. The whole thing is fully modeled. The bottom is not like empty for no reason, right? That would be the funniest thing ever. Games Workshop is actually actively being besieged right now. And on all sides, they're the actual Imperium of Man. They're getting sieged out. And for good reason, because Games Workshop is a company that's cut so many corners, they've actually lost their edge. Everyone is looking at this like giant rise on their stocks, like going from like 7,000 to like 20,000, and they'll be like, I want a product that's very easy to make that can fit in our portfolio. You know, the funniest thing about this is that there's probably like some Games Workshop manager watching this, like their legal team will be watching this, and they know for a fact that they can't sue these people. There's so much like crossover with like the StarCraft Marines, with like Space Marines with like giant shoulders, and you know, the Tyranids and the Zerg a bit. I won't get into the discussion there too much, but I know for a fact that the legal department like probably wants to sue them, but they can't do anything about it because suing Blizzard means suing Microsoft. And for the second video, we're gonna talk about StarCraft. Okay, and they'll be like, "Whoa, why you talk about StarCraft in the 40K channel?" And I think it's quite important because I think StarCraft is going after Games Workshop's booty right now. So I'm a big fan of StarCraft. I follow a lot of StarCraft casting. If you ask me, in StarCraft right now, in competitive StarCraft, what happened in the latest few patches, I can tell you straight away. It was like the command center going to like 300 points, increased lava spawns for the Zerg, the warp gate changes with Protoss. You know, I'm not lapping here. I actually still play StarCraft, and I'm like a huge fan of it. Like, who are the best faction players? Like, it's for Zerg, it's Serral and Doc, but Doc is doing his mandatory like Korean army training right now. For Protoss, it has to be Hero. For Protoss, it's Clam and Hero, and for Terran, it's Bjorn and Clam. Okay, so this is how deep I am into StarCraft. I've someone has given me like a tip, is that a lot of StarCraft battle casters might be going to the tabletop game. And by covering, I mean doing stuff like this, right? You know, they do the casting and all that, but for the tabletop game. And they might be joining in playing a tabletop game as well. So I think Winter StarCraft is one of them. He talked about it on one of his videos quite recently. It's fine, it's fine. If you don't know what it means, it's fine. Okay, I'm just nerding out. It's just something I really enjoy. And so the interesting thing is that for StarCraft, it's a very lucrative side niche for content creators, because usually StarCraft content creators, they only do like the battle reports, and there's really not much else they can do. They just cover the competitive game, they cover the tournament game and all that. But this also gives them a chance to now sidestep a little bit, do some side content, and start doing hobbying stuff. They can start talking about the tabletop game. They can start doing like battle reports for the tabletop game. They can start doing like, oh, it's my first time painting my first plastic model, you know, stuff like that. So I think we might actually see like that entire place like spread out, might open up a bit. And it's quite interesting as well, because this kind of segs into like the Asmongold starting 40K thing as well, right? And I think that like overall it's probably a good change, because it's going to give Games Workshop, it's going to squeeze Games Workshop in like a different place where like STL sellers or like Archon well, Archon doesn't make this game, but like besides the point, like Trench Crusade kind of does, is that like STL sellers and like Trench Crusade hits them and like the hobby sports, like the traditional hobby space. Whereas StarCraft coming in, this is a company that is very good with the production values, and they're very good at setting up tournaments. So you might have noticed that like Games Workshop has been trying to turn 40K into like an esports shit like this, right? Well, all of this came from, well, Blizzard and StarCraft. You know, shit like this. This came from them. So I think now Games Workshop has like the competitors like through Trash Crusade and like, you know, shit like that. Conflict 47, the traditional side is going to be like competed against. And now on the esports side, they're going to start getting squeezed by Blizzard and StarCraft as well. I think overall it's a good change. Competition is always good. Anyways, I've been yapping quite a bit. Let's actually watch the proper videos. Kind of a short one, it's only 2 minutes long. I wonder if you can proxy a lot of these models as well.
I bring tidings.
So the volume's a bit up. Oh, that's Zero Tool! He's supposed to be dead. That's not low accurate. Yeah, spoilers alert, Zero Tool kind of dies in Heart of the Swarm. You know it's Zero Tool because it's got the gauntlet. Oh wait, no. Zero Tool does not die in Heart of the Swarm. He dies in Legacy of the Void, and then the gauntlet goes to Artonis. Sorry. Trash Crusade is cursed. SDLs are broken. Guys don't take accountability for the mess. Yeah, I think Trash Crusade was like a bit of a misspeak on my part. I meant to really say Conflict 47. Because I think the Conflict 47 people are a lot more competent than the Trash Crusade guys. Sorry, that was a misspeak. Oh, wait, let me go back. I got distracted there. Because, like, putting out good models is one thing, but what's really important is not, like, the individual offerings they can bring out, it's the entire organization behind it. You know, when... It's like building an army, right? The strength of an army is not like down to the individual warriors, even though it's very important. It's really down to like the entire organization and logistics of it. That's how you actually beat a war. And doing business is basically an economic war. And I think the Warlord Games people, since they're like ex-Games Workshop and they're mainly like veterans in that industry, they don't really rely on like startups or anything. They're basically playing like New Game Plus for them. So I think in terms of like knowing what the market is and how to actually get things put together, I think the Conflict 47 team is a lot more, well, Warlord Games, yeah. What do you mean Conflict 47 team? Yeah, Warlord Games is a lot more capable in terms of that. And I think if they can get some like, not getting like listed on a stock exchange, but getting like actual private investors or something, and they can really like grow their company quite a bit. I actually don't want them to get stock listed because they're just turning to Games Workshop. The moment you become stock listed, you just become Games Workshop. So I hope they don't do that. But I hope that like they get like you know, private investments from like people who genuinely like the hobby and they can like expand a bit. And I think it'll be quite good. Like to actually carve out their own space and eventually have that compete more with Games Workshop. Because every time there's competition in the space, it's only good for the consumers. Sorry, but he looks a bit like the combination of Tyranid and Crude. You can say that a little bit, yeah. The Protoss, so he's a Protoss, right? He's really based on like the Predator. The main inspiration for the Protoss was like the Predator and Spawn. And there was like another dude from Marvel Comics as well, who I forgot the name of. I did like an entire video on this. I'm trying to spot the new models. Were the Marauders always there? Like these are the Marauders, right? Were these always there? I don't, wait, those siege tanks are new. So I need to go back. Oh no, Games Workshop will have to sue them now because they brought in like a tank in a tabletop game. Can the siege tanks transform on a tabletop game? That would be crazy. Or are they always in siege mode? That's a Ravager. So the roaches like evolve into Ravagers. I don't think a Ravager is like one-to-one parity with a siege tank though. And by the way, I noticed that their entire color scheme is a little bit different now. I think this is like another new batch that they painted up. It's a lot closer to like the 40k kind of like a grim dark color scheme. It's a lot darker and the shading is a lot stronger. Dude. You know what the worst thing about this? You know what the funniest thing about this is? The funniest thing about this is that the leaks of Votan are gonna get cucked. So, for those who don't know, the leaks of Votan, a lot of the aesthetics is like a straight ripoff of StarCraft. The Marines from StarCraft. A lot of their aesthetics has been quote unquote borrowed from StarCraft. I mean, they can deny it, but it's definitely there. So I have a feeling that part of like the Votan like wave 2 or something will probably involve like an actual tank, because the lore behind the Votan right now is that they're not actually on a war footing. A lot of their vehicles are actually exploration vehicles. They're kind of like Star Trek. Before like the whole like war phase, like when Star Trek was still like a exploration force, they're not really built for battle. They're basically there right now. So their tanks and stuff have not actually been deployed. That's the entire lore with Votan. What you're fighting with the Votan right now is really you're just fighting like dudes with mining equipment. And the spooky things about Votan is that like they could actually bring out some very like scary like tanks and stuff that has not actually appeared on the battlefield yet. But I think Games Workshop has taken so much time like releasing all of that. They just came out with like, you know what, fuck you. You like to copy us? Nah, we're gonna bring this out first. I can see that being the Hammerfall. Oh yeah. But I think it's too small. I think it's a little bit too small. I think that maybe when they like release a scale, I can definitely see the turret. Like, if you replace the turret, the missile turret was just kind of stupid, right? With the siege tank turret, it'll look really cool. Like, imagine the Hammerfall bunker. Yeah, you're right. Hammerfall bunker. Like, imagine you replace like the dumb missile launcher here. This thing here. This thing. With the siege tank gun. That would go really hard. Oh, wait! Oh! Bro, how big is this? Time to start an Imperial Guard army with siege tanks. I did not expect them to be, like, a two-part kit. I'm actually nerding out right now. I like StarCraft. Not being able to deep strike is a crime. Yeah, like in every single game, that thing deep strikes. Like in Dawn of War 4 and Space Marine 2, that thing comes out of the atmosphere. Dude, this looks so good. You know what we did? No, okay, this is what they need to do to really piss off Games Workshop. Flip the fucking tank over, and then show that it's not hollow inside. If this thing comes with a base, not like the Rogo Dawn tank, which has like a hollow like piece of shit like shell. Like if they flip this around and show that it's got like an actual base underneath, like the whole thing is like covered and shit. It'll be the meanest mog, I tell you. It'll be like, hey, Games Workshop, we don't cheap out on our models. The whole thing is fully modeled. The bottom is not like empty for no reason, right? That would be the funniest thing ever. It'll be like Wendy's going after Burger King. Oh, Ravager. Yeah, I knew it. Oh, so those are markers. Okay, so the lore for this is that the roaches, you can build roaches in the RTS game. And then you can do like a research and then, well, the layer research. And then they can evolve into the Ravagers. So they become like a siege unit. I like the little sound effects. Protoss and Mortals. I would have preferred like the Dragoon because of Phoenix. Because Phoenix was a Dragoon, but then the lore is that the Dragoons, they lost the facilities to actually build that. So they all got converted into immortals. So a Dragoon is kind of like a Dreadnought from Warhammer 40k, where they've got like a cripple dude and they put it inside of like a spider robot. Oh, they even have the shell. Yeah, so their ability for the immortals is that like in the original game, they have a damage cap. So what happens is that like anything that shoots them gets capped at 10. So you can shoot them with like a siege tank. And the siege tank did like 70 damage. It'll get capped at 10. But then like small arms will get through like the shield very easily though. But I think they changed it in like I actually know for a fact that in the most recent game they changed it so they get like a 3-second invulnerability window. The shield will just activate and they become like invulnerable for like 3 seconds.
I return to serve.
The funniest thing about this is that there's probably like some Games Workshop manager watching this, like the legal team will be watching this, and they know for a fact that they can't sue these people. There's so much like crossover with like the StarCraft Marines with like Space Marines with like giant shoulders, and the Tyranids and the Zerg, but I won't get into the discussion there too much. But I know for a fact that the legal department like probably wants to sue them, but they can't do anything about it. Because suing Blizzard means suing Microsoft. And they know for a fact that they can't fuck around with Microsoft. Wait, like, who owns Blizzard right now? Wait, let me double check. I could be talking my ass. Who owns Blizzard? Yeah, Blizzard Entertainment is owned by Microsoft, which acquired its parent company for $75 billion. So this company is worth like, let's round it up a bit, about $80 billion. Games Workshop is worth 8. Okay, so if Games Workshop goes over and tries to be like, hey, you know what, your tabletop game looks a bit too much like you're encroaching on the IP, right? This looks too much like a Lehman Russ. Or hey, this looks too much like a Space Marine. These look too much like a Zerg. We're going to cease and desist you. We're going to send like mark scan or shit over you. It'll be like a toddler picking a fight with like Captain Titus. I want to see it happen. I actually want to see it happen, but it probably won't happen. That'll be the funniest shit ever. Like if they... if like mark scan comes over and tries to like copyright them and then like... they try to do like by proxy, right? Mark scan is their proxy. They come in by proxy, try to take this down, do like a little like angry toddler moment, and then like Microsoft will be like, no, I will now destroy your company. Well, and by destroying it means like buying them out. You don't destroy a company, like you don't really destroy a stock listed company. You destroy their value and then you buy them out. Would be funny though. Control the high ground. Okay, I feel like that is talking directly to 40k players. Because in Warhammer 40k, there's like the whole terrain problem. And in competitive play, you don't really use the high ground. With like WTC rules, you don't really like you don't really do like the vertical plays or anything like that too much. There used to be a little bit in 8th edition, but not so much now. And also, this is like a really nice tie-in because when you play StarCraft, there is like the whole verticality of it. There's actually like a line of sight where units on like a higher footing cannot be seen by people on the bottom. You need like a spotter to actually see them. And that's actually one of the things that's not in Dawn of War 4, and that's why Dawn of War 4 feels a little bit flat. So there's probably going to be like line of sight in this game, but it's going to be instead of just L-shaped terrain, there's going to be like up and down line of sight as well probably. And I need to ban this guy. Give me a moment. There. I have to say that the Zerglings look a lot better than the Gaunts. Like these Zerglings, you can't see them, it's a little bit blurry, but I think it looks a lot better than Gaunts. I think they repainted everything. It looks a lot more shaded and it's a lot more grimdark. I think they might be trying to push into the grimdark aspect. They know that Warhammer is popular because it's grimdark, but right now the way that the models are presented in Warhammer 40k, they're not painted in like a grimdark way at all. It's almost like Marvelish. They kind of like moved away from. They like the golden goose. They laid the golden egg, but then the goose like fucked off somewhere else. So the entire egg is just leaving there by itself. And so I think Blizzard is just coming in to just pick up the egg now. Yeah. I want to see how expensive this is. Because if it's cheaper than Warhammer 40k, then Blizzard might be in trouble. Not Blizzard, Games Workshop might be in trouble. Between Bandai coming into the tabletop space with like their own Gundam kits and like a smaller scale kind of like Kill Team-esque game, with Conflict 47 being very competent, being very likable, and attracting the like Imperial Guard niche with their story writing and their aesthetics, with Blizzard coming in with like StarCraft, you know, doing the whole sci-fi fantasy thing in like a very grimdark way. I think that like Games Workshop is actually actively being besieged right now, and on all sides. They're the actual Imperium of Man. They're getting sieged out. And for good reason, because Games Workshop is a company that has cut so many corners, they've actually lost their edge. And everyone is looking at that like, everyone is looking at this like giant rise on their stocks, like going from like 7,000 to like 20,000, and they'll be like, you know what? I want a product that's very easy to make that can fit in our portfolio. That can give us this. And I want to see the comments. Oh, yeah, I want to see the comments. So Loco TV, he's a guy who does StarCraft Battlecast, battle reports, whatever they're called. Ran for Dragoons and Goliaths. Ramps having those ridges to prevent minis from sliding down the smart. Oh, wait, did they actually do that? They added the ridges for easier movement. Wait. Oh, that's such a nice touch.